Hello, everyone, and welcome to the October 8, 2024 Planning Commission meeting. I need approval of the minutes for the September 10 regular meeting.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right. Communications from the audience for items on the agenda that are not listed with a public hearing on them? No? Okay. New business. 21 West 7th Street, site plan request for construction of a public parking lot with a total of 49 spaces. And the applicant is Towers on River, LLC. Scott Geerlings is the applicant. You can come forward, state your name for the record, and you can talk about this item.
My position. Actually, I am Connor Grayson with Midwest Construction. I'm a representative of Towers on River. Scott is out of the country, and he asked me to fill in.
Great. So give us a synopsis of what you're doing here.
Absolutely. May need a little help from Ryan here, but currently the space is a dirt parking lot for our construction at 159 South River. We completed the shell and core of the Towers on River, which is at that location, and now in agreement with Mr. Spoolhoff, who is here as well. We are looking to rehab that space with parking.
All right. And how many spaces?
I believe 49, is that
25.
correct?
49?
Yeah, 49 total.
25 new.
Okay. Seems pretty straightforward.
Pretty straightforward.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions for the applicant from anyone? No? Yes, Lynn. Is your mic on? Sorry.
Your mic's not on. Lynn, you're.
Sorry, thank you. Does the setback match the adjoining parking lot,
Oh, come forward, please. Sorry.
the front setback on 7th Street? I think that was the issue, right?
Yes, Ryan Eiseldike, Holland Engineering. Yes, the setback on the proposed parking lot matches the adjacent parking lot. It is less than the 10-foot that's required for no screening. Because it is less than the 10-foot, then there's a screening requirement, either a fence or dense shrubs. And we have elected dense shrubs, just clipped back so that we have the clear vision so that someone bicycling or walking down the sidewalk can be seen by cars exiting the parking lot.
Okay. Can I ask another one?
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
maybe this is a question for you. Were you going to say something? You stood up, so.
Sorry, I wanted to be prepared
Okay,
to
okay.
say something.
Lynn, go ahead. Ask
All
your
right,
question.
Okay, so you're talking about how we're going to use the automobile entrance as a pedestrian entrance, and I'm just wondering if there's kind of a standard for that. Like, is there a size of entrance that would allow for that, as opposed to having to create like a little sidewalk?
So maybe let me make just
Yeah.
a few comments to maybe get us there. So I tried to outline in the staff report, so some of the things that Ryan is talking about are the things that the Planning Commission has discretion about. So the standard is to have that 10-foot setback along 7th Street. They are asking for it to be 5. Planning Commission has the ability to reduce that setback to 5 feet with the hedge screen wall that they're proposing. You also have the ability to reduce the setback on the side and rear from something less than 10. They are asking for the side along the west to be 5 feet, and in the rear to the north, 0. That would actually match the existing parking lot that's out there. So those are a couple things that is up to your discretion. There's also the criteria in there that talks about the Planning Commission determining the need of the parking lot and whether or not it creates any negative impact on the vibrancy, walkability, historic character of the area. So those are also some things that you ought to consider. I've given you my comments that go along with those in there. And then one of the other items that you're really talking about, Lynn, is the Planning Commission has the ability to allow the automotive entrance, the curb cut, to be the pedestrian. So We don't have any standards for that. My take on that is for a larger parking lot where maybe you have multiple aisles that you might be able to create a pedestrian access that could be separate from the automotive entrance, that's typically a little more desirable. I'll just cut to the chase of the staff recommendation is to approve what they have submitted. Basically, to summarize it, it's such a small parking lot, it didn't seem like there was the need to have that separate pedestrian entrance and exit from the parking lot. So I guess I just wanted to hit on all of those different things that you're really being asked to approve as part of their project. If you were to approve the project as they submit, you know, then I guess the assumption is that you've approved all of those, I don't want to call them exceptions or waivers, but those items of discretion that you have tonight. Does that help?
Yep, thanks.
Any other questions, Lynn? No? Okay. This property is adjacent to the Big Lake Brewing parking lot, right next to their building?
That's
Okay.
correct, yes.
And you've been using this for construction vehicles and people working on the building?
Correct,
Okay.
yep.
And there's already currently 2 curb cuts there?
There's a curb cut that goes into what is Big Lake's parking lot today, and there was a curb cut that went into this. I think looking back historically, I think there was far enough back, there was part of a building on this site, then there was a parking lot, and it got converted to green space at some point, and the curb cut was still there. The curb cut got used for construction, access to that kind of staging area, and now this project would rehab or replace that curb cut, and with a new curb cut in basically the same location.
Okay. So this isn't adjacent to the Big Lake Brewing parking lot. This is part of it, like part of that.
Connect.
Yeah,
they
this
connect.
would connect to the parking lot that's
Okay.
currently there. The parking lot that's there is kind of one full bay of parking. Now this would make it look like 2 full bays of parking.
Okay.
Yep.
Are you planning on having an entrance and an exit only?
The layout is such that it works for 2-way traffic, so it would not be one way. You could enter or exit either entry off from 7th Street.
Okay. Any other questions? Yeah, Lynn?
Yeah, as far as entry and exit goes, so 2 cars, because I know that there's at least one parking lot downtown that just feels like it's too narrow for 2 cars to go past. Is it wide enough in that center space?
Yes, this is a full 24-foot wide
Okay.
drive aisle, so it's the standard of all the rest of the parking lots in the downtown area drive aisle width. So it would be 2-way traffic.
You do have comments from the transportation department as well, and so
Mhm.
they've reviewed and approved the layout as it's shown.
You also had a public hearing, or you had a public meeting?
A public meeting,
Yeah.
yes. There was a public meeting, I believe it was last week. I think only 2 people showed up, but all the neighborhood was invited, and both people that showed up spoke in favor of the project. So public was invited, and they seemed to be at least not opposed.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry to keep
Alright.
interrupting. They also had the meeting at the DDA as well, and the DDA had recommended approval as well.
Okay. Scott, you said the 10-foot setback is from the sidewalk in the front on 7th, right?
So that's the requirement, so they're showing a 5-foot setback from the right-of-way. The sidewalk edge is usually really close to that, but basically, yes, the sidewalk back 5 feet.
Okay. And the pedestrian walkway will not be affected?
Right, that's out in the right-of-way.
Yep. Sounds good. Thank you.
Thanks.
This item does require a public hearing. Anyone that would like to speak to this item can come forward right now. Okay, I will close the public hearing. Any questions, comments, or motions from the Planning Commission?
I like the plan. I think it maximizes an underutilized space right now, and I think I'm I'm good with the way that it's proposed. I think that it mimics and matches the character of the parking lot next door, and I think it functionally works really well, so.
I agree with Nate. I can't imagine anything else in this spot, and I think that it does. It's gonna make it a lot more functional, and it's gonna make that Big Lake Brewing parking lot more functional as well. I move we approve.
And I would second that.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Aye.
Oh, sorry, Lynn. All right, good. The project passes. Thank you. Next item is 5651 143rd Avenue, Master Plan Amendment. Planning Commission to recommend distribution to City Council. Change designation from industrial to open space to expand park space. Applicant is ODC Network. Nate Bosch.
And I'm going to have to recuse myself because of a conflict of interest, so I'm gonna exit stage left.
Thank you, Nate. Yep, we appreciate that. The applicant would like to come forward, not Nate Bosch.
No, not Nate Bosch.
Okay.
My name's Dan Callum. I'm the Greenway Manager at the ODC. We're here to request this master plan amendment for the property on 143rd Street. This is directly across the street from our main nature preserve. Our goal with this site is to transition it into a park space, incorporate that into our nature preserve, with the primary purpose being a bike park for younger riders as kind of a beginning level track for kids to be able to get some of those very basic skills from balance bikes up on towards elementary and older age students. We hope to be able to potentially provide some stormwater benefits as well for the neighborhood within the Tulip Intercounty Drain District, as well as incorporating this into not only our nature preserve, but provide a little green space on the south side of the city. So, happy to answer any questions you may have.
Any questions from commission members or comments? But Steve does.
You might. So this is master plan amendment. You'll have an opportunity later in this process when we hold the public hearing to kind of get into the meat of this request and make your recommendation to city council. So just like we just recently did with the master plan refresh, this is really, we're asking you to recommend to city council the distribution of this request so that we can start the public noticing requirement. I put on your screen there what that schedule looks like. So this is scheduled to go to City Council on the 16th. If they were to approve, it would start that 42-day public notice period. Then it would come back to you in December for the actual public hearing to make a decision or recommendation to City Council to amend the master plan map. So I was really hoping tonight we wouldn't really get into the nitty gritty of everything. Mm-hmm. So because we're really just asking you to kind of start this process. I hope that makes sense. Mm-hmm. Can
Yes.
certainly answer any questions you have, but just asking for you to recommend to City Council the distribution of the master plan amendment request.
Thanks, Steve. Any questions?
Does that require a motion and just discussion and approval?
Yeah, I think a simple motion to recommend to City Council is all you need.
Okay.
So moved.
Support.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right, sounds good. We'll let Nate come back in for communications and petitions.
So did he have to recuse himself just because he works there?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh.
He will every time it comes back, yeah.
I always thought it was like financial.
If there's any influence.
Let's
At
ask
all.
our lawyer.
Yep.
Lawyer, let's see.
If you voted against it, you get fired.
Oh, well, that's,
Yeah.
Thanks for coming in.
I'm just trying to decide if you had to.
Has that ever happened where applicants voted against themselves?
Communications and petitions, scheduling of public hearings. There are none. Communications from commission members? Nope. Communications from staff, it looks like we have an administrative site plan review at 96 East 64th Street warehouse building with loading docks with potential for a future warehouse building.
So, yeah, again, those are just the admin site plan reviews that have come into the office, since our last meeting. And then we'll do the semi-annual update. I think we're doing those in January and July. So we'll give you the full rundown of all of those.
All right,
But I did have a couple of announcements.
Do you have your mic on?
Sorry, I did have a couple of announcements.
Okay.
Spring break, I know that's a little ways away, but Mallory is putting together the calendar for next year, so we have a conflict with spring break week with our meeting, so we were gonna bump our meeting down. So if you wanted to make a note on your calendars or whatever, April 15 is gonna be the planning commission meeting that month. We thought we would rather try to reschedule rather than just cancel. The 8th, I think. So I wanted to put a plug in for the MAC. You guys have probably heard about this. They're doing a big safety action plan, sort of region-wide. That's going to make us, as well as other members of MAC, eligible for some funding through this Safe Streets for All program. It is a lot of money. So I'm really asking everybody, if you haven't done so already, go onto their website, do the interactive map feature where you can go on there and give them feedback for areas of concern, speed, safety, you know, there's a bunch of different options. There's a bunch of people that have already done so. If you're not really sure what to do, you can actually kind of even just give a thumbs up to some of the existing comments that are in there. But I think the more comments they get, the better chance we get for some funding. So a plug for the MAX. There's two things on there. There's a survey and then there's the interactive map feature. So if you're gonna do one and not both, do the interactive map feature. And then finally, since we're talking about master plan, Nate can just plug his ears, I guess, with this master plan request. Just important to remember, because he's going to be recusing himself, we need, I should say the master plan amendment needs 6 votes in the affirmative to pass anything. So obviously that's one more than just a normal quorum. So I guess I just wanted to remind you of that as we move closer, when we get ready for that public hearing, having that 6th person will be important. So just a friendly reminder. That's all I had.
Thanks, Steve. All right, motion for adjournment?
Support.
All those in favor, say goodbye.
Goodbye.
Bye.